Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday, the 18th of Safar, 1445, corresponding with the English date, the 5th of September 2023. Hazrat Wala here is saying that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to continuously read to us from the maktubat and the letters of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom. Now, Allah Ta'ala in Hazrat ke barakat se humko bhi mustafiz farmaye. Allah Ta'ala also give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of benefiting from their spiritual waves and blessings, their barakat. Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, a man of remarkable excellence, 7,000 khulafa alone in the Indo-Pak. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say that Hazrat Tanvi se jo mila. Whatever I achieved everything. From Hazrat Tanvi I achieved. That's there, it's in its place. But I benefited tremendously from the maktubat of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom. So here, what we have opened up here is the khat and the letter to the Sultan-e-Waqt, the king of the time there, Sayyidina Aurangzeb Alamgir Rahimahullah. And what does it say? And what does it speak about? Jab nayaft ke ba'is dil rota hai, तो रूह याफ्त के बाइस हंसती है. So what they are saying here is that जिसको दर्द यानाफ्त मिल गया तो सब कुछ मिल गया. The person who has achieved this spiritual state, dard nayaft, the pain, the sorrow and the cry of not achieving, then that person has achieved everything. In simple words, न पाने का गम, जिसको मिल गया उसको सब कुछ मिल गया. The grief and the sorrow of not achieving what we have supposed to have achieved in this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then understand that then you have achieved something. So we have to think about this year, that we spent so much time with the Allah Walas, but we haven't achieved what we're supposed to achieve. Nevertheless, Hazrat Wala is saying, Hum to isi mein hai. I am in the same thing here. That usi gham, I must go with this gham. I must take this gham and return to Allah, that I've stayed so much, but I haven't achieved. And it is greatly hoped that when I reach there, then Allah will bless me. There was a king, and he had this orchard and this garden of his from where fruits used to be cut. But he had this habit that the khadim and the attendant, he would always give him. The khadim was also a man of capacity, Saheb isti'adad. So he used to eat from there, from whatever fruits were cut from that orchard. The khadim was given by the master, he used to eat. On one occasion, he said that let me also taste. The master, the king of that orchard, the owner, let me also taste. And when he tasted it, it turned out to be absolutely butter. And then he looks at the khadim and the assistant and he says to him that for such a long time I'm seeing you eating this, but there's no change in the expression on your face. So he says that Hazrat, musalsal aapke haath se meeta kha raha ho, agar talkh aa gaya to main shikayat karu? That Hazrat, continuously from your hand I was eating only sweet. Today some type of butter one came my way. So then, should I then complain? So when the king heard this year, what was his impression? He said, now you are my master and I am your servant. Because today you have taught me recognition, marifat, words of recognition you have taught me. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote many of these waqiyas to us. There was this Badshah, this king, and he used to say to the slave there, to the assistant, to the subordinate, to the worker there, what he used to say to him, Tum kya khaoge? What will you eat? So, Hazrat, jo aap khilayenge? Kahan soyoge? Hazrat, jahan aap sulayenge? That what will you eat? Hazrat, whatever you feed me. Where will you sleep? Hazrat, wherever you allow me to sleep. What will you drink? Whatever you give me to drink. So what does the master then say? Go, you are free. You are my master and I am your slave. Today you have taught me the greatest lesson of life. Here I am just an artificial master. Artificial. False. Fake. Temporary here in this dunya. And you have got such a type of submission to me, which I do not even have 1/100th of it, to the master of all masters, Allah Rabbul Izzat. You have taught me the greatest lesson. So asal cheez is marifat. This genuine thing that we need to learn is that of recognition. बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है. The मशाइख नक्शबंदिया, वो लोग रटाते हैं. They repeat this and they make their murideen repeat this. Ilahi maqsood man tui waridai tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Oh Allah, you are my goal and my objective. And your pleasure is my goal. You and your pleasure, O Allah, that's my goal. That's my objective in life. Therefore, bless me with your love and your recognition. Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala an was asked that, would you have liked to pass away in infancy or maybe in your youth? So he answers so beautifully that definitely not in my infancy, more in my youth, or rather even better in my old age. And the reason that he gave for that was that most definitely with that comes a package. If a person has to pass all that phases of life and live through all of that, difficulty comes his way because this is the dunya. But my wish to live that amount of life is for one sole reason, and that is, in that time I could gain the marifat, the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as opposed to an infant. Yes, he passes away just like that there, before he is even baligh, small little child or this or that or the other. But he is deprived of the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilahi maqsood man tuhi waridai tu muhabbat wa ma'rifati khud bideh. So a person, sometimes through his ni'mats, he reaches to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some person, through trials, tests, tribulations, musibat, calamity, he reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At-turuqu ila Allah bi'adadi anfasil khalaiq. The paths to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are so numerous, they are more than the breaths of all the makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put together. Now take one makhluk of Allah and the amount that it breathes in, inhales and exhales. Can we count one makhluk of Allah in its lifespan? The paths to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are more than the breathing, the breaths taken by all the makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all put together. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the muhabbat and the ma'rifat of each person also one and made it unique. That every person's ma'rifat is for him. He can understand it. Now, look at the ahwal of the Buzurgan-e-Din. So much so, Hazrat Wala is going to this extent by saying that every one of these Buzurgan-e-Din, these saintly servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are so unique but so different to one another that one arif cannot even understand the anwar, the illumination, the nur, the kayfiyat and the spiritual states of the next arif. He cannot understand it because it is completely different from what he is going through or he is having. So like how Allah is one, each person's ma'rifat and his kayfiyat and his nur is one, and it's separate and it's different, therefore making it absolutely impossible for one arif to understand the kayfiyat and the anwar of the next arif. Allahu Akbar. Kisi ko lutf se, kisi ko zahmat se, somebody reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in peace and comfort, and many reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in trials, tribulations and difficulty. The path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how much of difficulty he reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha seen the pain of her father. And what happened? What did the father say? What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? How did he console his daughter? He said, "Oh my beloved daughter, don't worry. Don't burden yourself, because your father will not see taklif after this." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had such a high type of fever that he kept on taking his Mubarak and blessed hands and dipping it into that bucket and that container due to the severity of the fever that had overwhelmed him. By and large, majority of the people reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of huzn and gham. Allah ta'ala हमको कमज़ोरों को लुत्फ़ व करम से पहुंचा दे. Allah Ta'ala let us weaklings reach him by means of his grace and his compassion. Ilahi maqsood man tu hi wa rizai tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Oh Allah, my goal and my objective is only you and your pleasure. That's it. Therefore, bless me with your love. Bless me with your recognition. Love is so great that it even makes the butter sweet. So, we are taken to the path of love and made to reach of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I was saying to you about that incident of the king, and the slave there is eating the butter. So he says, no, now you deserve to become the master. Ali radiallahu ta'ala, and the waqiyah, the incident or his malfuz that I quoted to you, that I give preference over youth, middle age and old age, lifespan, compared to that of passing away in infancy, all in the name so that I may gain the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Hazrat Wala is saying and speaking about this advocate and this judge who's about to make his presence in the high court. He's come there to the masjid or the madrasa. He's nervous, he's pareshan, he's in sorrow and grief, pacing up and down. And I say, now what's all this about? He says to me, Maulana, judge ke samne bayan karna koi mamuli baat to hai nahi. It's not any simple or easy thing to go and stand in front of the judge in the high court at that time this touched me so dearly and deeply and made me think of the standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Wala is saying, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. What about that person who fears standing in front of Allah? Peshi. وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. And then he prevents his nafs from following its base desires. فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Jannah will be his abode and his lot. So Allah, this muhabbat and this love is something amazing. Hazrat Anas radiallahu ta'ala narrates that a person comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and asks him that when will Qiyamah come? When will it occur? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, answering his question, asking him another question in reply, saying to him, tell me, what preparations have you made for that? He answers, I didn't really prepare anything. However, I love Allah and I love His Rasul. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, then on Qiyamah you will be amongst or be with those who you loved. Anas radiallahu ta'ala is saying that the Muslimin, the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after accepting Islam, this was the most joyous occasion that they ever experienced when they heard these words leaving the lips of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hearing this particular hadith. In another hadith, we learn that a person should stay in the companionship of Allah. If it is not possible for him to stay in the company of Allah, then he should sit in the company of the one who is in the company of Allah, until such a time that that person makes him reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pushes him up until he is now in the presence and reach that halat and kayfiyat. So the love for Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Sahaba kiram, A'imma Izam, Buzurgan Deen, all of this here is so that it can come of great benefit to us tomorrow. You know, the Hazrat Wala is quoting an incident. A person came, he's seen the Shaykh, he's seen him in pomp, glory, wealth, riches and gold. He became or entertained the evil thought and he walked his way. Nevertheless, he stops at the masjid, he lies down and then he sees a vision and has this dream. Nevertheless, as he became or started entertaining the evil thought of the Shaykh, he uttered these words, Namardast aake jo dunya dost darad. How can this person ever be a genuine man, a man of piety, a saint, a buzruk, when he has kept dunya as his friend? Nevertheless, he goes, he's lying down in the masjid, and in his dream, in his sleep, he sees the day of Qiyamah, Mahshar, and somebody's got him at the hand and saying, come, pay up now, you are owing me so much and so much. This person is absolutely pareshan, worried, overwhelmed with fear now. What will happen and what will he do? In all of that, that Shaykh that he passed by, who was sitting in that pomp and glory and riches, passes by and sees this person there and addresses those people there who have him and says, leave him. Ye mera admi hai. This is my man. Leave him. Meaning, he satisfied those people, he pacified those people, this person got chutti, was left alone, he was granted freedom and salvation, and then that dream comes to an end. This person gets up with a fright, rather more than anything else, crying, rather more than anything else, embarrassed and ashamed. And then he comes and he says, Hazrath, make maaf. Make maaf. So the Buzruk said to him so simply, Look at ilham and how Allah Ta'ala inspires His pious servants. He says, no, he didn't even listen to anything, but his first impression to that was, when the person is asking, Hazrat, make maaf, he hardly completes his sentence. He says, no man, don't take into consideration thoughts and dreams. And then he just went on quickly to say, okay, just tell me, what were the words or the couplets that you said when you left here? So he said, Namardast, jo aake dunya dost darat. How can that person ever be a wali, a great saintly person who keeps the dunya as his friend? So the Buzrug then said to him that just add the second one, so then it can be complete. Add the second line, agar darat, barai dost darat. He can never ever be a wali if he keeps the dunya as his friend. But if he has to keep it and he's keeping it, he's only keeping it not because he's keeping it as a friend and he's got that gehra ta'alluq and that love for the dunya. No, agar darat barai dos darat. This wealth that the awliya have and that he has, it is only and solely for distribution. It is only and solely so that they can help their friends, like how it helped you. So the love for Ahlullah proves to be so potent, proves to be so great, proves to be so unique, and comes to the assistance of a person in so many different ways. Allah Ta'ala bless us with this husn zan, entertaining the good thoughts. Ye bhi ek amal hai. This is also one type of amal. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to address the old aged, and he would say to them that at this age you can't even do amal. What amal can you do? You're restricted to such a great extent. You're confined. At least entertain good thoughts of Allah. Can't you entertain good thoughts and have husn zan? The path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is open. It's not closed. So husn zan khud ek amal hai. So for a person to think, Mera Malik mujhe halak nahi karega. My master, my Allah, my Rabbul Izzat will never ever destroy me. Jude karam ka mamla farmayega. My Allah will treat me with generosity, with grace, with compassion, with mercy. You know, what about that incident? A person came, he was taken to task. It's the day of Qiyamah. And then he says, but Allah, didn't you say in the hadith about the person who's old and you'll have mercy? He has white hair. On that, he was forgiven. Rahmat-e haq, baha nami joyed. The rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just looking for an excuse. It is there. It is just waiting to fall down and overwhelm, cover this person completely and totally. It doesn't look for any price. Now this husn zan, etc., was such type of articles and topics of Hazrat Maulana Shah Qamar Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, that Allama Ibrahim Balyawi, all his ustads that made ruju to him, they were all in old age. But he was writing to them about the importance of these articles, that now in old age, when a person can't do so much of a'mal, etc., husn zan. Now what do I say? Hum logo ka bhi yahi waqt hai. For me, this time has also come. You know, it is said that if a person sees written on a wall, love, Muhabbat, he looks at it and he thinks to himself, what are you doing on the wall there? You're supposed to be engraved in my heart. That is love. The love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the thought of a believer. When he thinks of love, when he sees the word love, he can understand nothing about it other than his eagerness and his enthusiasm of that love being rach bach, that it must be entrenched, engraved in his heart. Muhabbatullahi ala qismain. The love of Allah can be categorized in two categories: fardun wa nutubun, one that of a farz category and the other one that of nafal. Now, kun aliman أو متعلما أو مستمعا أو محبا ولا تكن الخامسة. Become an alim. If not, then at least study, a student. Sit at the feet of the ulama. If you cannot be in any of those two categories, at least take out some time and come and listen to their talks. Be a listener. And if you cannot do that, you don't even have that amount of time and you cannot avail yourself, but wherever you're sitting and wherever you are, at least have love for them. But don't fall into the next category after these four categories, because then there is only destruction there and only destruction. Now tell me, how easy and how simple Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this for us. You know, here we're saying that this person here is a Naqshbandi and this one here is a Chisti. Yes, this talk is for here. But for there on top, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is nothing like that. Allah ta'ala bless us with the spiritual, with these ahwal of these Hazrat and these great personalities. So, the muhabbat of Allah, which is faraz, is of such a nature that it must bring a person onto the fara'id so that he can carry out the fara'id. And the muhabbat of Allah, which is nudub and mandub, is such that it must bring a person to carry out the nudub, that which is mustahab. And then it continues, وَكَذَلِكَ مُحَبَّةُ الرَّسُولِ. And similarly is the love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now on muhabbat alone, there's hundreds, there's thousands of pages of articles, mazameens, lectures of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb only on the topic of muhabbat. Allah Ta'ala ki muhabbat dil mein jaguzi ho, that may the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be penetrate deep down into our hearts. Muhabbat ka bazaar ko garam rakho. Keep the marketplace and the bazaar of muhabbat and love hot. وَكَذَلِكَ مُحَبَّةُ الرَّسُولِ. Now these people say that we don't have love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to even face in that direction, and he used to say it in a louder voice, that these people say that we do not have the love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one is the Zahiri Muhabbat and the other one is Batini Muhabbat. Zahiri Sifat, Batini Sifat. Allah Ta'ala resurrect us in the Zumrah, in the group, in the company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Ta'ala do that for us and for our family people, rather for the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Ta'ala bless us with His love, the love of His Rasul, and the love of the saintly people, the love of the awliyaullah. And this also why? So that our path can become easy to Allah. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. I'm not even fit to give majlis. However, majlis has taken place. Allah Ta'ala give the people the tawfiq and the hidayat of appreciating this year. Ratatete. They used to make them say this like a wazifa, like a wird. over and over and over again this dua. Ilahi maqsood man tui waridai tu. Oh Allah, my goal, my objective is your pleasure. You must be happy with me, oh Allah, and my objective is you. You are my goal and my objective and your pleasure. Allah, bless me with your love and your recognition. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.